Good morning, my beauties, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today I have a lovely guest on with me. This is Sharon Lynn. Sharon is the founder of Mystic Mouse Publishing, and I absolutely adore the title I'm about to announce for her. She is a multifaceted, multi-dimensional mentor. This woman is mystical and magical in all sorts of ways. So I'm just going to pass it straight over because nobody can describe Sharon the way that Sharon can describe Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Bex. Well, thank you for having me. I know we had a really interesting call a few
Oh, we
weeks
did.
ago, didn't we?
Yeah, it was
And I've
wonderful.
got no idea where this one will go. I've got nothing prepared because I am multifaceted, multi-talented, and multi-potential and multi-dimensional. You probably guessed by the title. I channel pretty much everything. So I really just make sure that I get myself in a really good space, get myself in a high vibe, and then I just let whatever needs to flow, flow. So I never know where these things are going to go. I just go as guided. So obviously, if you've got any questions as we go along, or if there's anything that you think, oh, when she's mentioned that, oh, I might like to know a little bit more about that. Just feel free to interrupt me. I've got my notepad and pen because if I'm like in a stream of consciousness, sometimes I have to write a note to myself so that I can pick up my own thread. Um, so yeah, so actually, I think probably a good place to start is with pretty much what I just said, which is about, my purpose on the planet really is to raise the vibration. Now, some people get that, some people don't.
Yeah, which I love.
For those that maybe don't get it, um, the easiest way for me to sort of explain it to people is when you're having a moment, that's a energy. So, and that's normally because you've had a certain thought, or there's been a situation that's got you down, or a conversation, or whatever. And we all know energy follows thought. Well, I think most of us know that energy follows thought. So for me, it's stopping that negative thought, or negative moment, or whatever, that makes you spiral into that, whatever emotion it might be, whether it's confusion or frustration or anger, or they're all feelings. So my job on the planet, or one of my many hats, one of my many jobs on the planet, um, is to give people the tools and empower them to flick that switch very quickly, so that in any given moment they can just go, do you know what? I'm not going down this rabbit hole. I'm just going to stop this right here. As you know from the previous call, and probably guessed, somebody's moving in the lodge. Hello, is there anybody there? So it just
Someone's trying
tumbled
to
off the
join
shelf.
us.
It's going, hello, pay attention to me. I don't know what it was. I think it might have been my little rattle. Um, so yeah, so my job really is to get people out of that sort of, downward spiral. So as I said, and as you said in the introduction, all the acronyms, I love my acronyms and alliterations and things like that. So um where was I going with that? Keep it simple, sweetheart. That's where I was going with it. So this is one of my
Yeah, I
phrases.
see
Keep
you
it
write that
simple.
quite a bit. Kiss, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kiss. Yeah,
yeah.
kiss. Keep it simple, sweetheart. But we also have sort of like a teaching workshop around the KISS solution, which KISS means something completely different. But one of the S's is to stop, and the second S is for silence and stillness.
Yeah.
So when you're in that moment of whatever that might be, it's just stop. Just stop. Take a breath. And if you're able to, in that moment, switch from where you're at in your brain to the complete opposite. So if you're frustrated, what's the opposite of frustration to you? For most people, if you're not frustrated, you're feeling fulfilled. So it's just like, in any given moment, okay, I'm fulfilled, I'm fine. If you're angry, it's calm. If you're confused, it's clarity. So yeah, so in very sort of loose, easy to understand terms, that's one of my biggest purposes on the planet, is to get people to raise their vibration. Now, at a deeper level, it's through the vibration of love. So, and again, people have their own interpretation of what love is. A lot of
Yeah.
people think love is, you know, you love your other half, you love your kids, you love your dog. It's a very tangible sort of relational love. But actually, love is right at the top of the emotional scale. So it's the top of the emotional scale that I'm holding the space for people to get to.
Yeah.
So it's about getting people into that love, peace, bliss, joy, harmony, excitement, all of those things that are this and not this sort of
Yeah.
contracted energy. So, love can be what you love doing. A lot of people just love going and sitting with the trees. If that's what you love doing and that gets you into that vibration,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's, and it's just giving people the awareness that, do you know what? Actually, it's okay to stop. It's okay to stop and take that breath. It's okay to go and sit and talk to a tree or a blackbird. Just seen a blackbird run across in front of the lodge. And but to take all these signs from nature as well. So if I sort of switch gears slightly, thanks to the blackbird running across, I come from a very shamanic background. Um, Not one that I was brought into. It wasn't a familial sort of shamanic background. It started for me back in 1998, I think, when I met my now husband. Um, and I just had this real fascination for everything sort of North American, Native American. And I mean, I always remember as a kid, actually, watching the Cowboys and Indians with my dad. He used to love his westerns, and I was always on the side of the Indians. It's like, why are the cowboys like they're always taking the blooming land? It's like it's not fair, and it was like always seeing this injustice. I was always on the side of the Native American Indians. But somebody introduced me to the drum, and I went on a drum journey. That's how I got my spirit name. She said, I remember coming out of that drum journey, and she said, "Oh," she said, "I remember seeing elk. There was a big elk sort of came in, and I visualized this elk, and I was a bit disappointed, to be honest, because I was hoping I was going to get a bear or a wolf or an eagle or something like that, right? But she's like, "Oh no, elk medicine." She said, "Oh, elk's very important medicine for you." So anyway, long story short, I started drumming, chanting. I created some CDs. I was running drum circles. I was, working with feathers and fans and just all of this amazing sort of ceremonial stuff. I hadn't got, nobody'd ever taught me. It was just natural. And I think that's
Wow.
probably where the start of the multidimensionality started.
Yeah.
Because it was like, this just seems to be coming to me out of nowhere from, like, I don't even know. So back then, I really did believe that it was past life stuff. So obviously, a lot of people, believe they've had a past life, have been here before. A lot of mums have got kids who tell them about,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
other lives that they've lived, and
Yeah.
there's
Definitely.
a fair few YouTube and Facebook videos around all of that. So for many years, that was something that I worked with. I worked a lot with sort of past life regression and things like that. Um, but if we sort of now jump forward a few years, and the last few years, I've sort of thought, do you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if time is linear. So, if we've got a timeline, and this is past over here and this is future over here, I used to think, yeah, we have, our soul has maybe been here in another body before. And that's maybe where all the memories come from of
Yeah.
how I know what to do, all these things. But actually now I think I personally feel like time is more, it's really difficult to explain. And I certainly don't get it at a quantum level or a scientific level, but it feels to me more like it's a web. So it feels like it's sort of, there's
Very
threads,
interconnected.
yeah,
Yeah.
threads of time. And so actually, while I'm sitting here in my lodge talking to you in this current form, there's probably a multi-dimensional aspect of me off somewhere else doing something else. And it's through those timelines that you can then,
You've got this
when you're
kind of
sitting in
recollection.
meditation, you can pull
Yeah.
that in, and and you've got that sort of connection.
Because it's other things as well, a
So
bit like you were saying about the shamanic drumming, that sometimes there's skills, isn't there, that you look at and go, "How do I know how to do this?" And I agree with you that you sort of feel that it could be past life, couldn't it? Just like a recollection, a memory of something you've already done before. But I often talk with my Reiki teacher about the future yourself as well, the one that's ahead of you. So again, we're back to time is not linear. You're
yeah,
all connected to all these versions and varieties of yourself in different spaces and times and everything else.
yes,
And sometimes you do feel like that. You have thoughts, you have memories, you have ideas, skills, and that pull as well. Sometimes, that intuitive pull to do something, don't do something, stay away from that. All those things, they make me feel very much like time is not linear, very much.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, back when I met my husband, I spotted your big crystal, your amethyst cave behind you. And I mean, that's really where I started
Yeah,
with all the vibrational stuff, because I met him in 1998, and in 99 we decided we were going to take on a crystal stool.
nice.
Um, and that's sort of really where it started. The crystal stool grew to be a new age stool, and that's actually how Mystic Mouse started. But I'll come back to that in a moment. Remind me that that was the thread that I was on, because I was just going to say a bit about crystals, because we studied for 2 years, so we did a vibrational healing diploma, and yeah, I mean that 2 years was just ridiculously transformational. But again, I had a similar thing there with the crystals. I love the crystals. And yes, while we had to read quite a lot of books about things, I didn't really need the book,
You
because
just
I'd pick
know.
up a crystal and I just knew it. And I mean, within a month, I mean, like over 200 different crystals, I could tell you what they were, what they did. I mean, and I was rubbish at school. I didn't retain anything at school. I didn't particularly enjoy anything at
No,
school.
I mean either.
It was like, this is not what I'm picking up from out of books. So then, of course, you get into well, did I have an Atlantean past life? Because obviously, a
Yeah,
lot of crystal people are very
yeah.
Atlantean. And then, of course, is it exactly as you said? Is Atlantean back there, or is it up there? Future? Is it past or future? And of course, there is actually only now for us humans in this current existence. Um, so yeah, so anyway, so we took on the crystal stool. We nearly had a
I
crystal
was going to say that would
school
be
as
quite cool.
well.
Yeah, crystal school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we nearly did. We were actually we did another 6 months of teacher training, and actually no, we did 9 months of teacher training. There was 10 modules, and the 10th module, which was the one for completion. I mean, I won't bore you with everything that's gone on health wise with my husband right now, and it might come into the equation a bit later down the line. But um, various things and various reasons. Every time we booked the date, we couldn't do it. And on the third go, I just said to the tutor, do you know what? The universe is just saying this, I'm not meant to have an official crystal school. And I'm so glad that we didn't, because, that would have been actually quite a big tie and a
yeah.
massive responsibility. And I'm not somebody who sticks with one thing for very long. So we may well have created a crystal school, but it probably would have only lasted a couple of years or so, and then I'd have been on to the next thing, and that would have been a real shame. So I still went out. I was still doing, lots of work with crystals, um, but sort of backtracking to Mystic Mouse, and then I'll come on to crystal skulls in a minute if they come into the equation. So Mystic Mouse was born in 2000.
That's your publishing house, isn't it?
Well, publishing house came
So
later.
that's now, but
So
right.
so Mystic Mouse as a um, name and as a business was created by my business partner, because Brian and I had taken on this crystal stall, which was fast rapidly becoming a new age stall, and I was fast rapidly becoming a mind body spirit event organizer.
Yeah.
He was like, you need a website. Um, so anyway, he invited us over for dinner one evening, plonked us down in front of the computer after dinner, and ta-da! Mystic Mouse, the website, had been born. He'd beavered away, created us this website, and he was like, "Here you go. This is what you need. You need this." Um, so that was how Mystic Mouse was born. My nickname was Mouse. Now, my business partner and I are actually ex-partners. So we had previously been engaged 20, well, nearly 30 years, yeah, about 30 years ago now. Decided that that actually wasn't the relationship we should have. But, you know, at soul level, we've obviously contracted in to be lifelong partners. And here we are as business partners. Some people get that, some people don't. I'm not worried either way. But you know, he's just been absolutely brilliant. And of course, he's the one that creates, I mean, everything that you see, you know, all of these images, everything, you know, he creates everything, all our cards and, you know, so
Oh, so
you know,
he's the
please.
illustrator
Yeah.
behind that.
Yeah. So
They
I
are
mean
stunning
I'll
illustrations, aren't they?
yeah, all from photographs. I mean, he's just so
Yeah.
everything that you see has been created by him. So there would be no business without him. There wouldn't be any business without me either, because the world wouldn't know we existed without me. But if I jump forward, so in we started to create our own oracle cards, so which is then where the crystal skulls come in. So in 2006, we did a massive mind, body, spirit event. Nearly killed us all. And we went, no, we're not doing that again. And then I just had this download from the Crystal Skull consciousness. And it was like, right, you need to create a set of Crystal Skull oracle cards. So I approached various new age publishers. Nobody was interested. And I went, I'll blow that with my
Do it myself.
entrepreneurial hat on. I'll figure it out myself.
Do it
So figured
myself.
it out myself. And we created in 2007, we spent pretty much the whole year creating a set of oracle cards. He'd never created them before. So it was a whole new learning curve. I set up a publishing company, didn't know, you know, what I was doing, had to, you know, figure that out as I went. So in 2008, Mystic Mouse Publishing was officially born. And so, yeah, since then, obviously, you know, we've released various oracle cards, wolf cards, crystal skull cards, the ones I just showed you there, conscious creatures oracle, they're the latest one. Don't know whether you can see. Can you see mine? Don't know. Oh, there, lion, lion pack.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
that might have been what was falling off the shelf actually. So, so I'll go on to now the story about the lion. So this is just how, you know, magical, weird, wonderful, and amazing, you know, life can be when you're open to these sorts of things. So I think I told you last time in fact, actually, it's exactly 7 years ago, like right now, that I was in the middle of my 5-week stay in hospital, um, and was deciding whether I was staying on the planet or not, because I literally, what I was so poorly. Now, I won't bore you with all of that, but uh, I'm still here to tell the tale.
Which is
So
great.
and really it was my business partner that sort of gave, you know, he gave me a really good sort of like, not a talking to, but it was, because I was pretty much, I couldn't talk, I was, you know, bedridden, and you know, it was all very traumatic. But I remember him being by the side of the bed and just going, come on, you're the strongest person I know, you've got this, you've got to you know, all of that sort of
Yeah.
like, you know,
That
so I could hear
encouragement.
him. Yeah, but from their perspective, I wasn't there.
Okay.
So, you know, but I could hear all of that going on, and I was like, I've got to pull myself back from this brink. I've got to come back. So, created in a moment of lucidity, because I was drugged up to the eyeballs with all sorts of things that the hospital decided I needed, which my body
Yeah.
did not need at all. So, in my moment of lucidity, the following day, I was like, right, take me off the drugs, just stop the drugs. Like if I'm in pain, I'm in pain, but just stop the drugs, because they are not helping me at all. And then I had then enough brain power to come up with some affirmations. So I started to do my affirmations and, bigger, better, stronger, healthy, whatever it was at the
Yeah.
time. And, started to visualize really amazing things again. And, yeah, there is stuff you can be excited about and blah, 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 blah. How this lion came about was that once I'd recovered from all of that, they basically hadn't been able to do the operation that they wanted to do. And they told me I had to go home, recover, and get strong enough so that they could then do the surgery that they wanted to do. Now, bearing in mind, I'd already been cut from top to bottom at this point. So this was why I was like, really? Do I really want to go through all that again? But anyway, I did. And so the following year, went back in, had the operation. So yet again, incision from top to bottom.
Awful, isn't it?
It's only supposed to have been like that, just
Oh
a little hysterectomy. It's like, oh, it'll only be 3 or 4 inches. And I woke up, looked down, and it was like,
my God.
anyway. So 2019, after I'd had everything taken out, this picture turned up
Turn,
on my,
turn the camera just slightly so they can turn your
way.
camera so they can see the, like, because he's gorgeous. He's absolutely beautiful, isn't he?
Well, actually, here we go. I'll show you because he's on the front of the book.
Ah, there you go. That's beautiful. Look at that.
All right. So this picture turned up in my inbox the day after my surgery.
Is that a
Uh,
drawing?
it from a photograph. So it was from a photograph. I'll try and remember to. I haven't got the original handy now. I should have got him to send it to me yesterday because I didn't know. I never know what I'm going to talk about. So, but he'd been to the Big Cat Sanctuary 2 or 3 years previously, taken some photographs, and I just fell in love with this white lion, and he knew that I loved this white lion. So yeah, so he just took the photograph, worked his wizardry on the computer. So everything is computer generated. But back in 2019, we didn't have any AI. So
No.
this is all
Yeah.
this is all him. This is all whatever he sees, what he feels. So this is the magic that happens at Mystic Mouse, because everything that we create is because we have looked into the eyes of that animal and we have connected with the soul essence.
Yeah.
The notebooks are the exception to the rule. These are actually not created from photographs, but they're still from Lorenzo's mind and connecting into that, consciousness of the animal. So yeah, so anyway, so that picture turned up, and the following couple of days while I was in hospital, a few more turned up, and I was like, okay, I can see here that this is going to be the start of an oracle set. So if you saw my Facebook timeline yesterday, you would have seen some before and after pictures, because I actually put up some of the before and after
Oh, I'll
photos.
have to have a
So
look.
yeah, so you have to,
Yeah.
go have a look. So yeah, I think I put up Raven because they were the first few to arrive. So Raven, Donkey, lion, obviously. Who else turned up? I can't remember, but there was 4 or 5 turned up while I was in hospital.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually a good point again to shift gears, and actually let's just see who comes out for the viewers. So
Oh, I
whoever's
love
watching,
that.
listening,
Yeah.
and then I'll pull one for you as well if you would like. In fact, actually, what I'll do for you is I'll get you to give me a number so you can sort of choose your own, because obviously all the cards are numbered in the booklet. But I'm just going to connect in for the highest good of the collective consciousness. Whoever is watching this, wherever, whenever they're watching it, what is the most appropriate animal ally? What's the message that whoever's, there we go,
It's the one
watching
that's
this
fallen
need.
out.
I honestly, I can see what it is. I'm not even going to pick it up. You can't believe it. It is him. Can you see buffalo there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Can you see the buffalo?
I can.
That is the card that has come out. Oopsie, sorry. Am I back in the
You are?
screen
You
again?
are.
Honestly, you can't make this stuff up. I only brought him into the lodge 2 days ago.
Wow.
And he came out for somebody in the lodge in the meeting that I had here a couple of evenings ago. And this afternoon, I've literally got somebody coming to pick up an A4 print of him that my husband found at the weekend when he was tidying up. So this is as much a message for me as it is the collective consciousness, because bison just keeps coming out. But bison is very, if you think about a bison, before I read you the bit in, so the whole book has been channeled by me. So when I read you this in a minute, this is all, what I was guided to write at the time by, connecting into that um consciousness. But um yeah, they're very grounded. If you think of all the, as the Native Americans would call them, four-leggeds, so the four-leggeds, are the horses and the buffalo and the donkeys and they're all very grounded beasts,
Yeah.
so anything with four legs, there's always a grounding element to it. So it's nearly always, there's always a message about sort of the base chakra and security and stability, um, our sense of sort of place on the earth, if you like. And I think, a lot of people are struggling with that right now.
Yeah. Sure.
There are massive, massive shifts all the time. I mean, there's always shifts. There always have been shifts. I mean, you look back millennia, we're completely different now to how and we've gone through an industrial age and a revolution and a technological age and a information age and all the rest of it. So, things are always shifting and changing. But I
It
mean,
feels
I've been
quite heavy at
talking
the
about,
moment, though, doesn't it?
yeah,
Very heavy.
well, I've been talking about this a lot in recent weeks with Lorenzo, my business partner, and my husband, and some of the girls that have come to group around how it, so many people want to get back to that community sort of feeling. And I'm seeing a lot of energy exchanges and collaborations and things like that. But we are still a little bit stuck and controlled by a monetary system.
Yeah.
And this is what people are finding so, so hard right now because, for us, light leaders, way showers, light workers, multidimensional beings, whatever you want to call us, those of us that have been walking a path for a long time and have a very high state of awareness, we're almost at the point of, well, I suppose I sort of have almost completely let go of any of that old world.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I'm mortgage free, but I seem to have manifested some amazing stuff and experiences. I am literally hand to mouth financially every month, but whereas years ago that would stress me out, and it's
Yeah.
partly what made me really ill. I just do not give a flying fig about it
Mm.
anymore. It's like I'm not good. There's no point stressing over it because if things get that bad, you know what? There's still a choice. So I never put any energy to worry or concern or fear, or which is sort of going back to where we
Yeah.
started with the love vibration, right? It's just like, just don't do it, guys. Just don't do it. Do not, just as soon as you feel yourself going down a fearful, worrisome path, there's just no point. There's no point wasting good energy on the things you can't change, right? So, where was I going with that? With buffalo, yeah. So it's interesting because buffalo to the Native Americans is about abundance. It's about rightful prayer. If you think about, the American tribes, they would go out and hunt well, I mean, American buffalo. It's bison, actually. It's
Yeah.
is the proper term for it. But they would go out on the hunt and every single part of that bison would be used, every single part. So the meat, the hide, the hooves, nothing would go to waste. Um, so that's where it gets its connotation with, abundance
Mhm.
and sort of, rightful prayer. So, so it is quite heavy right now. It's not just governmental, environmentally, things are changing big time. Cosmically, things are, you look at all the stuff that the scientists are now going, oh, blimey, look what's going on in the sun. Well, I think you and I had a conversation before. my head has really, really felt, all the solar activity.
Yeah.
The last 2 or 3 years, really. But again, that's part of my purpose on the planet, is actually to, assist people to be aware of things that maybe, just question. Oh, actually, because I didn't realize how sensitive I was getting to what was coming out from the sun until I started to document it. I started to
Yeah,
get
started
these.
to, like, notice the pattern.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, well, that headache feels different to, because I occasionally get what I call a channeling headache. So, if I'm supposed to be downloading some information,
Mm.
or if I've got a client and there's stuff coming through, it's like if I don't write that down or I don't speak it, and it's all waiting to, come in, I can get what I call a channeling head
Yeah.
until it's released, until I open that. And but I was like, but these heads don't feel the same as that. So I was like, well, what is this headache? Because obviously I'd had the hysterectomy and blah blah blah. I was blaming everything on the menopause. And it took me a while to realize, actually this is space weather. This is cosmic solar. So anybody who's maybe having heart flutters or um tinnitus or sort of weird sensations or pains in the head, they of course go and check them out with the GP. But also, I would say, actually go and look at the space weather. What's the space weather doing when you have that funny head or you're feeling absolutely wiped out?
Yeah.
Because it's quite likely that there's just been a solar flare or a geomagnetic storm. I think we spoke about this on our previous call. You look at all the auroras that have been happening in the UK,
Yeah.
with it's unprecedented.
This
So
isn't
there's
normal for
definitely,
us.
definitely something.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
unprecedented for us.
Do you know
So,
what I keep
so anyway,
getting? I keep getting, when you're underwater and you've taken that big deep breath and you're kind of running out of that air and that patience, and you're rushing to the top, and then you kind of got that pressure here as you kind of draw your breath in. I keep getting that, but no water, obviously. Just daytime, randomly, all of a sudden, I feel that pressure on my chest, and it's like I've got to take a huge breath in, and then you kind of go, "Oh, that was a bit weird and out of nowhere. I don't know what happened there." But I do connect it a lot
yeah,
to what is going on at the moment, because there is a lot.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I get a lot of. I have quite a few days a month, I would say, where a similar thing. Um, where I feel like I really need to take a breath, but it just will not go. I'm a diaphragmatic breather.
So it
I
doesn't
mean,
go
I
down.
wasn't, but it's like, it's sometimes like
Yeah.
I can only get the breath to here.
Mhm.
It won't, I can't do that deep belly breathing. And it's like, it feels like my solar plexus is just all, well,
Yeah.
and of course, again, solar energy, solar plexus,
Yeah.
it's all interconnected. And it was a while before I made that connection. So yeah, so I mean, heart stuff, well, again, that's another podcast in and of itself. Uh yeah, because I mean, I had some serious heart issues, or I thought I did, but nobody could find anything wrong with me. It went on for 9 months. Very, very short version of a very, very long story was that it was a 9-month vibrational rebirth.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like, you're feeling this. I mean, I was getting palpitations. I mean, they said I'd got an ectopic heartbeat, but then, it would come and go as it pleased. So it was all very random. I mean, I was hospitalized 2 or 3 times, but every single test they did, they couldn't find anything wrong with me.
Wow.
So, in the end, I'm like, well, clearly this is just a vibrational shift, and I just had to ride it. And eventually, after 9 months, got through it. But there's a much, much, much bigger story to that, which is linked to Epstein-Barr and mononucleosis and all of that sort of stuff. So if anybody's interested, they can always message you and go,
Well,
"Yeah, I
absolutely.
want to hear that story from that woman." But before we get too far down the line, Buffalo. Right. So this is the booklet that comes with these amazing cards. Sorry, looking at my nose there on the screen. So there's 42 amazing, as I say, these are all from photographs. I think 27 of them. Oh, that's my friend's horse at the horse yard. So yeah, 27 of them. This one keeps coming up for me. It came up this morning before I got on the call. Sorry for anybody who doesn't like snakes, but snake is about embracing
See, I
change.
actually don't like snakes at all, but that is a really
But
beautiful
isn't he
photo.
lovely?
He's
He's
gorgeous.
gorgeous,
Yeah,
isn't he?
really.
Absolutely. It took me weeks to find a snake photograph because Lorenzo didn't have a snake photograph. And it took me weeks to find one that I was really happy with for him
Yeah.
to work with. So, I mean, I don't know this snake personally, but, you know, I asked his opinion and
This
he
is
was very
lovely.
happy. And just the colours, just
Oh,
absolutely.
the
It's a
colour's
viper,
beautiful.
actually. And of course, vipers are about. So maybe this is, I've stopped here. Maybe this is your message.
It
This
might
is
be.
about striking, you know, very quickly an opportunity. Because if you see he's all coiled up,
Yeah,
and he's like, any minute now, he's going to go whoosh.
yeah.
And it's like, so if there's an opportunity to be had, you know. Um, so yeah, so these are the moly there. So yeah, there's my elk medicine. So
Yeah,
there
it's
he
lovely, isn't it?
is. There's lion. So yeah, so you sort of get the idea. You know, all from photographs. Oh, there's my lucky boy. I think I shared with you
You
about
did.
him last
You
time.
did, yeah.
So, you know, anybody that's drawn to any of those, obviously they can come and find me. You know, on Facebook is where I'm at most of all. And then you know, and I can then show you the page. So if you say, "Oh, I saw the koala and it jumped out at me," and right, so this is the how the booklet looks. So the booklet has got all sorts of goodies in the beginning about sacred geometry, numerology. We've got the
Nice.
chakras and the colors in there. So it's one of those things that if you know nothing about anything and you're all
You can
new
find
to
out.
all of this, it's, you know, you literally can pick this up and go, oh, right, okay, I get it. I understand how to use these cards. I understand what the colors mean, what the numbers mean, etc., etc. So we have wisdom that then gets channeled from the animal. So this is the card that's come out and on the floor. So this is the wisdom. Then whatever else gets channeled to me goes here. Obviously, this is affirmation. I'm grounded. And then this is a longer affirmation. And then you've got your color bars, which you can look up. And you've got your sacred geometry, which you can look up. And then your number, which you.
Numerology.
So it's a real
Yeah.
a big well, a bit like me, multifaceted,
Multifaceted.
multi-dimensional, you know, sort of thing. So Bison says, so bearing in mind this was
This was for the
from the
collective.
collective for
Yeah.
the collective. So whoever's
So
listening, this
whoever
is for
this is
you.
for you. Yeah, if you hear it, it's meant for you.
I know the importance of being part of a herd, and I will travel miles following the seasons to find quality nourishment. I have more strength, agility, and stamina than you might imagine. So when I channeled these and then I was editing the book, I hadn't realized that actually that was wisdom was twofold. So when I channeled it, that was coming through as Bison's wisdom. So Bison is saying, I know the importance of being part of a herd, right? And then I realized actually that the person themselves reading the booklet, reading that message, needs to actually say that to themselves. It's not
Right.
quite an affirmation, but it's that same medicine that's then being brought into yourself. So I'm going
Yeah.
to read that again so that it lands in that way.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's sort of listening to it now as if you are saying it for yourself. So I know the importance of being part of a herd. So that's about being part of a community. It's
Yeah.
like getting yourself out there, whether it's online or in person, it doesn't matter. But you know, having your tribe around you, it's like that's really important. And I will travel miles following the seasons to find quality nourishment. So that's also about, you know, it, going out of your way in a way to find whatever it is that really feeds your soul. So if there's
Yeah.
no groups in your local community, you know, and you need to
Go
join one
further.
on in Australia,
Yeah.
that's what you need to do to nourish your soul, because it's so important that your soul is nourished. Because if your soul and your mental health and your emotional health are all up the wonk, you ain't no good to anybody else. You have to look after you first, 100%. Something that I didn't do for many years, which probably attributed to me being in hospital on death's door for 5 weeks.
Possibly,
So
yeah.
lesson learned.
A hard one to learn,
um,
but
and then I have more strength, agility, and stamina than you might imagine. So, that's bison sort of going, I'm big and I'm bulky, and you might think I'm clumsy, but actually, you see them running across the plains. And, they really do have a lot of strength and stamina. So, when you work with that bison medicine and that bison energy, it is about groundedness, steadfastness. It's, standing in your power and going, do you know what? I am strong, I am fast, I am agile, I can actually do some of the things that maybe I didn't think that I could. Um, so, most Native Americans consider bison, or the American buffalo, a sacred symbol of abundance, and his appearance is greeted with gratitude and ceremony. A
nice.
message, perhaps, that rightful prayer can bring great things for you. So, when I talk about rightful prayer, it's not about, hey, God, can you give me that? For me, rightful prayer is very much about gratitude
Yeah,
and appreciation and, putting your intentions out to the universe,
yeah,
um, but then letting it go, not forcing it, then just coming back to that space of being, carrying on in flow and gratitude and appreciation, because that's when things automatically gravitate, towards you. That is when the law of attraction happens.
yeah.
Law of attraction is not what a lot of people think it is.
Well, they think it's magic,
It's
unfortunately, don't they? But it's not.
well, but there are also a lot of people think, well, if I give something, I'll get something back.
Yeah,
And it's like, well,
yeah,
yes, to a degree, that is how the law works, but not in the way that the human brain thinks it does. Because, I can be on this podcast for 2 hours, um, and it might get me some customers, it might get me a look on the, but actually, that's not what it's about. It's about, well, I don't know what it's about, and that's the point.
From
that
my
that
perspective,
that
it's
is,
all about sharing. Literally just sharing that love, that light, that knowledge, that anything, like I look at you talking now, or all my guests when they talk, and I look at you guys talking so passionately. And I know that we're listened to in 27 countries all over the world, in the strangest of places as well, small places, that I also look and just kind of go, I imagine them just sort of listening in and tuning in at that right moment, just going, I needed to hear that.
I need to hear that. Yeah,
I didn't know about that, and now I do, and I really am
yeah,
fascinated, or I needed that,
yeah.
and that to me was like, that makes me so, it makes me feel like I'm glowing.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting you say 27, because that's a big number for me. I'm a 9. I'm a 9/11, but 9, 27, 18. That whole vibe is
Yeah.
but the point is that we don't know we don't know where that ripple's going to go.
No.
I mean, I'm always dropping pebbles. I drop pebbles in the pond of consciousness, wherever I go. And it's like you say, there might be somebody sitting in a mud hut in Mexico,
Yeah.
just tuning in on there and going, oh my goodness, that message was for me. But the point I was making about the law of attraction is, I don't know that that's happening, and I don't know the ripple effect that that's going to have, and I don't know how that's going to come back to me. That person isn't going to, I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, I'm going to do this podcast because if I do this podcast and give a load of information, I'm going to get a load of
No.
customers. No, that's not how the law of attraction works, but that's how a lot of people think the law of attraction works. It's like, oh, if I give something, then I'll get, yeah, you will give back. You will get back if you give freely and from a high vibrational place of love, but it almost certainly won't be what you are potentially thinking or expecting.
No, nor a tit for
So
tat, really, is it? It
no,
doesn't work
it's
like
not.
that.
It's yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of people still are in that sort of, and I think a lot of that is to do with, unfortunately, it is to do with, the very Americanized business guru way of things. They
Very
have their
much.
own little, yeah. So
Very
but that's
much.
fine. So gratitude and ceremony. So
Yeah.
yes, okay. A message perhaps that rightful prayer can bring great things for you. Bison is steadfast and strong, making him virtually immovable when he wants to be. His large, broad hump can symbolize the weight of the world. Are things getting on top of you? Do things feel stuck? Bison's thick fur, particularly covering his heart area, keeps him insulated against the cold, harsh environments. And this might be another clue to his medicine for you. So, quite often when bison comes up in a one-to-one reading, you know, people do, my clients generally have some sort of emotional
Yeah.
issue going on, and so bison comes in to sort of, I don't like using the word protection, because for me, love is protection. Because if you're in a high vibration, there there can be no fear, because the two don't resonate at the same
No,
level.
no, no, no.
But but that energy of bison can be there to just sort of protect your heart a little bit from, you know, getting further down the emotional scale with, whatever it is that might be going on. Um, so anyway, his affirmation, apart from I am grounded, his affirmation is I am strong, steadfast, and powerful, and hold my own in any environment. Abundance abounds. So if anybody's
Nice.
looking at this and wants to take a screenshot, now would be the time to take a screenshot
That's a
of the
lovely
affirmation.
affirmation as well, isn't it? It's a very strong, powerful
It,
affirmation.
yeah, and it's very much indicative of that bison, energy. It is very, yeah, as you say, very grounded, very anchored.
Yeah.
Um, so right, I'm looking over here and looking at Tim Casilla. I'm thinking, oh, what else shall I share just before we sort of think about, because I'm sure I've waffled probably for about 40 minutes already. It feels like I can talk for hours, as you know. Is there anything that you would like to know, or are there any questions that you would like to ask that I can channel a response to, or anything that you think your listeners or watchers
Oh, I love your cup. I've just noticed your cup. That is lovely.
Unfortunately not one of our designs. However, yeah, I should have brought one of ours down, shouldn't I? That was a
That's a
rookie error there.
yeah.
Um, but it really interestingly, this is what I was actually looking at to pick up next.
Wow.
Not that dissimilar.
No, no, they're not actually. They're not at all.
And we also have, let me just roll back here and grab one of these, which might be of interest.
Move it over slightly. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
So this is actually a journal. So this is about unlocking the freedom and power of your true authentic self.
Nice.
And we're working on, at the moment, it's a bit in the background, we're working on something called the Lone Wolf Path. So lonewolfpath.com does actually exist. There are a couple of pages and a couple of blogs up there. It's very much for it's under wraps at the moment. So I mean, now it's going out worldwide, but Renzo and I felt very drawn. We both feel like lone wolves in our own different ways. I'm always sort of, you take me to a group, I'm still on the outside of a circle, because not everybody gets me. And that's fine. I'm okay with that now. I didn't used to be, being a very sensitive soul, I would take things personally, but I consider myself to be a lone wolf. I always thought I was very extroverted. Actually, I'm not. I'm an extroverted introvert, so I have a little bit of extroversion.
See, I love
But
that.
actually,
Yeah.
I am really quite introverted, and you wouldn't think that, obviously, when you engage with me and you hear me, and but it took me until only about 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, and I'm in my 50s now. Took me all that time. Took me till I was about 50 to realise, actually, no, I'm actually more of an introvert than I am anything else.
Yeah, no, I definitely vibe with that. The extrovert introvert. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the Lone Wolf Tribe is very much born out of um, solitude, isolation, but not quite
Yeah.
isolation, but people who feel like, they've always been different. They've always been on the outside of the circle. They've got a lot to share. They're very tuned in. They're very aware. They're very connected with consciousness, but they just don't feel like they belong. And they just don't feel like anybody else in the world would get them. And so this is something we've been sort of talking about a lot. We The idea came up 2 to 3 years ago, sort of not long after we came out of lockdown, because things changed a lot for a lot of people
Yeah.
in lockdown, and some people have learned to be in a different way,
Yeah.
and some people just gone back to, it's like it didn't teach some people anything at all. And the world has gone back almost to its original pre-lockdown madness, and in fact it reverted to something even worse in many cases, I think.
Definitely.
Um, I loved lockdown, for the most part, because actually I do love being on my own, and I love that meditative time, and my garden and everything
It
else.
was so quiet, wasn't
Um,
it?
it's yeah, but for me, coming out of it and getting back into business actually was quite difficult. It did make me go online. I mean, I wouldn't have done anything like this pre-lockdown, because everything I did was, in
In
person,
person.
in room.
Yeah.
So, I'm grateful to it for that. But it has made me a bit like, well, you were saying about your that's how I feel when
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I've done two physical networking groups in the last week. And, it's taken me out of my comfort zone a little bit, for well, lots of reasons, but mainly health reasons, because of having been so poorly and being around, vulnerable people. But anyway, where was I going with that? So yeah, so the lone wolf, essentially the way that we see that developing is literally like this: is a conversation. Renzo and I will have a conversation, because we're always setting the worlds to rights on consciousness. And it's a weird one, because, and this is why we haven't launched it yet, because there's not really a purpose to it. So it's not like I can say to you, come to me with an idea for a book, and I can get that book out of your head and we can get it published for you. That's a journey. It's got a start, a middle, and lots of stages, and an end. There's a transformation to it. With the lone wolf path, it's very much about just feeling like there is a community there that will get you if you want to dip into it, but you don't have to. You can just sit there and listen or watch, and
Sounds perfect.
yeah, and but learning as well. So, because I think, as I say, a lot of us who've been on this path for a long time, you know it does feel like we're on the crest of a wave sometimes.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know how many friends I've got on Facebook now. I mean, I've got probably about 3,000 friends on Facebook, somewhere around there. I would still say that I've only got two extraordinarily, and that's my husband and my business partner. you know, I have wonderful, amazing ladies that come here who I class as friends. And I know that if I picked up the phone and said, hey, can you help me? Can you give me a lift or whatever? Yes, of course they're going to be there. Um, but there's only really the boys in my life that I feel that are really like my truest soul. I've got soulmates and I've got a soul tribe.
Yeah.
I've got lots of people who get me, but when shit hits the fan, there's really only those two people that I want to go to. And actually, more often than not, it's more Lorenzo than it is my husband, because of my husband's health issues. I don't bother him with certain things. Um, so yeah, and I think a lot of lone wolves, feel exactly the same as that.
I am very, very much nodding in agreement here. I call them my apocalypse tribe, and there's like three people in that apocalypse car as we ride off as the zombie
Yeah,
apocalypse goes on behind us.
yeah,
There are so many people I'm connected to.
yeah,
Um, I have a connection with in various capacities. Some are friendships, some are work, some are colleagues, and so on and so forth, and family and things. But in my zombie apocalypse car, Yeah, there's like 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch this space for for lone wolf lone wolf
Yeah.
path
No, that sounds absolutely brilliant.
lonewolfpath.com. And and we've got, I mean, this journal is just amazing for anybody who feels like that. It's, it's very simple, but it goes quite deep. Very good for it's quite NLP in its sort of intentions, but um yeah, just lovely, beautiful. Oh gosh, I mean, I mean, I could talk to you for ages. I keep looking at Tunkasila, and I'm sort of thinking, should we just finish off with a channeled message from Tunkasila just to
Yep,
see?
go for it. Go for
That's
it.
that's what I'm guided to. So unless you've got any
Well, I think
particular
I was as
question,
well by your cup. I think I was very drawn because you said to me, "Is there anything you want to ask me?" And all you did was pick up your cup, and now, we've sort of gone into
and
that
off we've
lone wolf
gone.
direction, and we're both quite happy in that zone. So yeah, I think a message would be lovely.
Yeah, cool. Right.
Definite
So
guidance.
I'm going to give you the option of choosing a number. So we'll again, this will be collective intention. So for whoever is watching, they'll just tap into this at the right moment, at the right time.
Yeah.
It is a book mainly for dog owners. But if you're not a dog owner, it doesn't really matter. But you do sort of have to think with a dog owner or canine consciousness hat on, because it is about connecting to the canine consciousness and why dogs are with us as human beings. So it's just thinking about things in that. Did we have one of these before, you and I? Did you have a
Not this, but we talked about. I don't think we went down the canine route. I think we went down the cat route.
well, it's interesting because where you
Yeah,
can Bentley is
that's it,
sitting there
Bentley. Yeah, that's it.
on the shelf. Bentley,
Yeah,
he is also on my table, but he's hiding, and she's who's
there you go.
shouting.
And it's funny. Yeah,
So, give me a number between one. Well, let's go between 1 and 27, because 28 is pretty long. And
$24.
so 24.
Mm.
Oh, that's interesting. I know what this is.
That's a beautiful drawing.
Now, isn't that interesting? Because so again, this is photograph.
Mhm.
So this is all by my business partner. Worked his wizardry and his magic, and that all. It's all the same photograph, but all different.
Oh, okay, yeah, different sort of background and colouring
Right,
and
so all completely different vibe,
yeah, yeah,
completely
yeah,
different. She changes in every picture, but she doesn't, because it's actually the same.
same picture.
Well,
Yeah,
so you sort of get the idea. So there's 30 channeled messages in here. This one is death and transition, and in a way, to me, this connects with, because I don't know if you remember the color of the Viper card that we had, the
yeah,
snake
it was kind of
card,
that green
rainbow
blue.
change.
Yeah,
It was this amazing turquoisey
yeah,
sort of color. So yeah, so this is the picture,
yeah.
and the message is: each break of a wave is a lifetime, is a life, and each return to the ocean is a return to spirit. When it is time to be no more of what we once were, of what we were that was familiar to you, know that this is not the last. It is not the last of me, of us, of you. It is a continuum of being and not being, of physical and non physical, of solid and non solid. I leave. I become another. I leave. But I still experience. I leave. But we are still connected. Got goosebumps. There's more, but I got my goosebumps have come up. Now, while she's talking about this in the sense of canine consciousness, and obviously a pet dog, maybe, somebody's just lost a pet. As I was reading that, actually, for the first time, I felt that was as much about a human leaving.
Very much. And
Yeah.
not physicality, not just us in death, parts of us that we no longer serve us, a
Yeah.
version of us that no
Yeah. Yeah.
longer exists, back to non-linear time, a past version, a future version,
Honestly,
yeah,
this dog is so Tunkasila is a wolf dog. who is actually in spirit. And she came through to Dr. Isla Fishburne, the author of the book, said, I want to channel all these messages for humanity. It's wisdom. The book is Tunkasila's teachings, wisdom from the canine soul, medicine for the human heart.
Okay, that's nice.
And that's exactly what it is. And so, so these are all channeled through Isla from Tunkasila, the wolf dog. There's something else I was going to say about that, but anyway, it'll come back to me in a minute. So I shall continue. It's only like only a little bit. So know through the universal string that connects us, when you are still in physical and I am not, you can meet me in the non-physical. When you become non-physical, there you can meet me in the non-physical. When I become physical again in your lifetime, here you will recognize me. And when we both become physical again in another lifetime, there we will recognize each other. Just as the waves have to break and part as they meet the land, all of us have to break and part in the cycle of life. Yet, just like the waves who momentarily break, they are still connected and return to the ocean. I know this might be hard for you to understand right now. If you were in a different body that was not of human, this would be so much easier for you to accept, know, and live from. Yet, your life, all of life, is like that ocean. Each break of a wave is a lifetime, is a life, and each return to the ocean is a return to spirit. When the waves break again, it is a new life, a new body for you, for me, for life. And then again, each retreat is a return back to spirit. The waves represent the being and not being of life. Is this helping you? I hope so. I want to share this simplicity with you. I want it to make loss be easier for you. I want you to hold loss in a sacred way. What are you doing to work with the medicine that holds you, that comforts you, that supports you as you allow your being to be soothed from loss? It is sacred. Everything is sacred. You are sacred beings, yet you have long forgotten how to live in a sacred way. This is the pain you feel. This is the pain within you of not living in a sacred way. The elders come to teach and share. Go back, child, to before you were born. Go back to when you all knew what was light and what was expansion, was love. Go back to when you understand and immersed yourself in the original ways, the original laws that you are. Call them in through your original song, your original medicine, and call upon them to run through your crystal structure, your original grid. It is always there, part of you. Activate this. This is what we ask of you.
Wow. Oh, that's lovely. And I love the fact that whoever is listening, that will resonate to them in so many different ways for so
Different
many
way.
different reasons. And I love that.
And it's one of those, I mean, I've read that probably a dozen or so times for different people over the last year or two, depending on what comes up in a session. And it it's different every time, depending on where you're at and how you're listening to it. How, it's like
Yeah.
somebody might have just lost a dog, somebody might have lost their mum, somebody might have lost a job or had to move house. There's all reasons why we can be experiencing, some sort of loss. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody dying. And so, that message, it does well, every message in that book, every time I read it, there's always a different vibration and connection that comes
Yeah,
through,
absolutely.
different interpretation. So yeah.
Well, thank
Ooh.
you so, so much. That was absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure the listeners would have loved it as well. They always
I've
love a
just
bit of show and tell too. So
I've just looked down at the top of my card. So sorry for anybody that doesn't like spiders, but look, finishing where we started.
Oh my God.
multi-talented. Couldn't make it up.
Well, this was like our first phone call, wasn't it? It all kind of went full circle by the time we were done. It was incredible between the affirmations and the crystal skull cards and Bentley the cat book and everything else. And it all just sort of came back to almost where we'd begun. It was just, yeah, it's funny how these things happen, we keep saying, but it's, so intentional, isn't it? But it's been wonderful having you on. Thank you so much for sharing some lovely wisdom and some wonderful knowledge and some really powerful stuff as well that I think is just fascinating for all of my beautiful open-minded listeners that absolutely love everything about this. So if you want to find Sharon, you can find her on Facebook. I will put the link. Obviously, we've got Mystic Mouse Publishing, and by the time this episode is aired, there is actually a good chance that maybe the Lone Wolf.com may be ready to rock and roll.
Well,
So if it is, I will
it's
add it
up
in.
there. It's up there. Yeah, it's up there. It is up there already. But we haven't sort of created. It's just a couple of pages and a couple of blogs, but it will give people that feel. And obviously, if they feel it, then obviously, you can sign up and we can keep you posted. Because it feels to me like this is something that it does feel sacred.
Yeah.
It feels sacred. It doesn't feel like something that I want to emblazon everywhere. It feels like it should be an organically attracting
Oh,
sort of.
definitely. It's a very specific
It
person, and they know who they are as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think it probably, I am going to talk about it, and obviously it will be on Facebook every now and again. But I don't necessarily think it's not like Mystic Mouse Publishing where I'm going, hey, here's the next new thing and the new
Yeah.
book and the new notebook and the new journal and the new, here's the next new tool and something pretty. And it feels, yeah, it just feels like, people will be drawn to it as and when they really need it in their life. And I really do feel now that it is very, very, very needed,
Yeah.
actually. But I'm just not quite sure how it's going to evolve and grow. So we've parked it there. I'm pretty sure it is Lone Wolf. I'll just have a quick look. So let's go out of signal screen for a moment. Lone Wolf Path. LoneWolfPath.com, I think, because we're
Oh,
also
Lone Wolf
developing
Pass.
Lone Wolf. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just going to double check for you because I'm pretty sure it's LoneWolfPath.com that he registered, because I was going to register Lone Wolf Tribe because we will be the Lone Wolf Tribe, but yeah, LoneWolfPath.com.
Beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Lovely. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I will put all of Sharon's details and links and absolutely everything so that you can contact her and to get direct. You want to go on the publishing house and pick up any of her wonderful bits, you can head straight over there. But for now, thank you so, so much for being with us today. It really was an absolute blessing. Thank you very much from our heart.
Thank you. Thank
And we
you.
will speak to you next time. Until then.